What's the most extreme dare you had to do/witness someone doing, during a truth or dare game? I was the result of a dare. Yeehaw! One of my friends dared me to whip it out during class. You can probably tell how that went. Well, let's just say I'm glad Cousin Berta was on birth control. Home sweet Alabama. I dared my friend to eat cat food when we were probably like 9 or 10. My mom found out and got really mad. I was dared to kill my pet. And? I didn't, don't worry, I killed Therese. Got dared to drink cyanide. Didn't know what cyanide was until my friend, bless the mofo, comes in and sees what I'm doing. Beats the crap out of the person who dared me, we left. Haven't spoke to them since. Friend's house, all girls. I wasn't even playing, just passing by to get a beer from fridge. Dared to show my pee-pee. I did. Went back to the room to watch TV. It felt good. Did they laugh? Between the usual OMG, I think they were clearly shocked because they thought I wouldn't have the guts, so I just casually unzipped my pants in front of them all and presented it. Some were laughing but not taking their eyes off, some ran, some blushed, etc. lol. This was also an all-adult 30-plus-year party, by the way. Did anyone later come into your room to suck it? No, that didn't happen lol. I was nervous because most of them were married/in relationships, and if that actually happened it would be awkward later. I actually left shortly after because I was avoiding precisely a situation like that. I don't fully remember the details, but my then pregnant fiancée and I were playing with some friends when she got a truth about craziest sex act she's ever done. Again, I don't remember the details, just how it made me feel. She described it and the details of the encounter sounded familiar to me, where she was several months back and such. I finally got her to admit with some pushing that it was indeed the time she was out of the country, I live in US, for some college thing she participated in, and it put it right at the time we believe I got her pregnant. Of course, this makes me question the legitimacy of me being the factor, and several months later and a DNA test later, my now ex-girlfriend no longer can try to get me for child support. I feel a little bad for the kid. I might have tried to make it work, but since that day, her true colors started to show and I dodged a major bullet. That's tough, bud, sorry to hear that. Oh, this was close to a decade ago, so I'm good now. It hurt tons at the time, so your sympathy is muchly appreciated. I'm married to a wonderful wonder with a 7-month-old daughter that is 100% mine, no DNA test, we all can just tell with her sassiness. Congratulations on the kid, I'm glad to hear that. We're all red in Compton, I dare you to have hot sweaty sex with me. Why sweaty? 'Cause it'll be hot and I have a glandular thing. Look, it's just part of the dare, okay? I dare you to grant me anything I want for eternity. Buy me a pizza. Sorry, can't say. What happens on the trampoline, stays on the trampoline. Got to make out with like 7 different girls in one game. Probably can't beat that. It was a long time ago, about 12 years, got really lucky and got to see my first naked chest from my crush at the time, got to make out with a crush at the time. Well, I was with these 2 guys and my 2 best friends, and one of the guys was also a virgin, so the other guy asked me truth or dare and I said dare. So he dared me and the virgin guy to go do the dirty dance, so I lost it in a car. In 2nd grade I was dared to put my dick in a mechanical pencil sharpener. Lol. Once in junior infants, 1st grade, a friend I'll call David sharpened his finger trying to get it really sharp. He sharpened once, then twice, then 3 times, then off, followed by crying. He got sent home early. It wasn't even involved in the game, but something that happened during it. To this day, I cannot play that game without flashbacks. I was in middle school, 7th grade, and was sleeping over a friend's house. We were playing, laughing, throwing chips at each other for funny answers, as teenage girls do. One answer, this other girl tackles me out of nowhere and is sitting on my back while I am flailing on my stomach. She's tickling me. From behind me, the girl whose house we were at approached at the wrong time and my foot unknowingly nailed her in the face. She was always a bit of a drama queen and started acting like she was dying. I felt so bad, and the other girl didn't even own that if she wasn't pinning me down, it wouldn't have happened. It was an accident. Well, needless to say, her father went apeshit on only me, saying that a man has to defend his daughter and return the favor. He smacked me across the face. I called my parents after an hour of refusing to talk to anyone as my young mind tried to process what happened. I finally was able to call my mom to pick me up. I made up an excuse to go home and never spoke to anyone in that group of friends again. My parents didn't know what happened until many years later when we ran into the girl and her mother in a department store and I didn't even acknowledge her while her mom and mine were talking. Was just texting my friends about what was happening. Other friends knew what happened by that time. She chose truth, and I asked how good was the first time you had sex? She broke down sobbing and 10 minutes later her boyfriend came in and asked me to leave the party. Hadn't realized I was talking to a victim of repeated childhood rape. Someone dared me to staple my finger and blood went everywhere. Just for doing it I got $50. I did it multiple times. My first MMF three-way was playing Truth or Dare. We were all a bit relaxed. The other guy says I dare you to touch my wife's breasts. I did. Very nice, though was through her clothes. Bit later she was topless and I got dared to lick her tits. I did. Again lovely. Later still I got to give him a BJ whilst fingering her. Sounds like a good time all around. So much cum lol lol. I drank water out of the toilet once. Sick as a dog the next day. Wildest night of my life. In my country, there's student housing units called boarding houses around universities if you don't want to live in school, so we went to some girls' boarding house. Huge room with 2 beds and a fridge. There were 5 guys and 6 girls. We had a drinking game. I lost a couple. I got almost completely naked, well except for my panties. I was so uncomfortable. I am a black girl so my hair is super curly and back then it was at shoulder length in its natural state. I was discreetly pulling it down and covering my nipples with it because they said no hands. Then got dared to make out with a girl. She was completely nude, no panties. She didn't care. She was walking around like it's nothing. Mine wasn't as bad as the girl that was dared to give a guy head. Turned the lights off and it was blurp blurp blurb while we sat there awkwardly. One of the guys saw that I was uncomfortable so he kind of covered me. We all ended up sleeping in the same room and the girl that gave the other guy head ended up getting smashed in a room full of people. Do you regret it? Nope, 10/10 would do it again. Only thing I regret is not giving my number to the guy that covered me. He took care of me the whole night and made sure I was okay. Now I am here, single and typing this. Furthest I went was giving my best friend hickeys on her torso, chest, and neck. They never said when to stop so there was more than people expected on her when they saw. We did it in another room and they only saw her neck. I guess they only expected like one on each spot but I had and still have no restraint. Sitting on the couch, naked, legs spread for everyone to see my balls. I jerked off all over my buddy's girlfriend's face in front of like 6 other people. I'm not making that up. I sucked off every guy in the room. Mom? I'm a boy, honey. Dad? I was dared to go up to a random guy on the street and tell him I had chlamydia. I was like 13. He stopped and said, "Well, I have crusty breast milk that comes out of my nipples," and made a weird slurping sound as he walked away. I still think, every time I remember it. My first ever gay sexual exploitation was during a game of Truth or Dare. I was in my 20s and driving my mom and her friend around one night because they were drinking. My friend who was with me wanted to play Truth or Dare. My mom ended up, while answering a truth, telling us that she was drugged and raped in college. I was dared to leave. We tried to make our buddy who fell asleep eat chili powder. The plan was someone plug his nose and we dump chili powder in his mouth from a spoon. So we got the spoon real close and when we went to plug his nose he sniffed real hard and snorted all the chili powder. It was funny as hell, right up until he kicked us out of his house in the middle of the night. I can't help but laugh at this combined with your username. I don't know why they make each other better, but they do. Glad I could lighten your day. So me and my idiot best friend were having a sleepover party at her house one night. Well, it was meant to be a party and I was the only one staying the night. We were about 9 or 10 at the time and started playing Truth or Dare. Did the usual tame shit to start out with. Then we look out the window and notice the neighbor walk into her bathroom, about to start showering. We could see everything through this window and my best friend dared me to wave. So I did, with the stupidest grin on my face. The poor lady saw us and freaked out. We shat and darted behind the curtains. A month later I was visiting again and the subject of that night came up again. And after giggling about it, came to learn that the neighbor had replaced the original window with frosted glass. Another story I have is of the time I was 13 and staying the night at a friend's place with a couple other friends of ours. One friend in particular had to get an early night because she had netball the following morning. And us all being out in the rumpus room on mattresses watching Howl's Moving Castle set the scene for some interesting shit. So this friend was zonked out by 9:30 p.m. and immediately the three of us grab markers and start drawing on her face. Because that's the kind of immature bullshit 13-year-olds get up to. Anyhow, it was on this night that we learned netball friends sleep talks and sleepwalks. She was taking up the entirety of the mattress I was sharing with her and she also happened to weigh a ton, so shifting her myself was absolutely not happening. After giving up, I resort to continuing to watch the movie. Next thing we know, she flails about and pulls all of the blankets over her torso and rolls away violently, mumbling. We ask her, "Jay, are you awake?" And she responds, "Ms." She was not awake. 2 hours later, the host of our slumber party had gotten up to go to the toilet across the hall. Then Jay rises suddenly and trudges off, on an apparent mission. And heads straight for the toilet door. And instead of stopping at this obstacle, as one might assume, she pushes the door wide open, much to our friend's absolute horror. Then spins around, stomps back to the mattress and flops onto it, throwing the blankets straight over her head. Meanwhile, poor friend was literally caught with her pants down, screaming, "Jay, what the fuck?" Funniest shit of my life right there. That is amazing. Navy SEAL caught me trying to creep on his daughter. Sleepover at my middle school crush's house. Come bedtime, guys were supposed to stay downstairs, girls upstairs in her room. Boys being boys, we decided to try and sneak up to the girls' room about an hour after lights out. Since this was a suburb, the layout was the same as all the houses we lived in, so we felt we could manage it. We get to the stairs, I'm first up, two friends behind me about 4 steps into the ascent, and we hear, "Boys, you're supposed to stay downstairs." Shit sounded like he was the one right behind me. We all looked behind us, he wasn't there, wasn't on the landing, wasn't in the kitchen, zero line of sight on him, doors were all closed, he wasn't sticking to the damn ceiling, wall wasn't fleshy, dude was straight up pulling a Predator. We creep back to the living room discussing what the fuck just happened, and he floats up the damn stairs. Like just materialized out of thin air. We decided he'd hopped out master bedroom window, went in through the side door into garage and popped back in and out real fast. That's what we decided, despite the fact that every single house in that neighborhood, the door from the garage to the downstairs hallway squeaked no matter what you did. Even theirs, we heard it that night when we were fucking around. But that's what we came up with. Subscribe for more amazing stories. I said subscribe now. Otherwise this will open the door and eat you when you are asleep.